Yes, so great. So here we are. So welcome everyone to this webinar. My name is Molly. Really happy to have you here today. And of course, today's topic is digestion, an incredibly hot topic these days, and really for good reason. As you can imagine, if you're signing on or watching the replay, digestion is a very important part of our living experience. And today we're going to take a look both from the modern medical view, a holistic view, and also just sort of a general understanding view of one, why digestion is so important and what it is exactly. It can be one of those things where we know we have a digestive system, we know we digest food, most of us have, whether real or perceived, things like for myself, I don't digest red peppers very well, right? So we all have like little aspects of digestion usually where we've already pigeonholed ourselves into sort of habitual patterns, but also I think digestion, um, at least as it's being looked at today, is finally being supported scientifically as this incredibly and oh my goodness, I've been speaking Italian all day. This is really going to be fun. So, as one of the most important foundational things for all of the body systems. And in the holistic traditions, we've actually made these connections for thousands of years, but now we have modern science that is doing really interesting investigations and starting to back up what holistic paradigms have been saying really for thousands of years. So that's sort of fun. And the other thing about digestion, just in general, is that life is an evolve, no matter what tradition you follow or what your belief is about evolutionary science. I think we can all agree that everything is always changing. And foundationally, where I love to start, especially with topics like this, and it's a little off to the side, but I love to just remind us that we are nature. If you do any kind of investigation as to the components, like the chemical, and when we say chemical in this paradigm, we really mean natural substances that all of nature is comprised of, our physical body is comprised of exactly the same elements. And it kind of boils down to foundationally like the same five or six. And as we also know, modern life is sort of pulling us and conditioning us away from nature. And so a lot of the issues that we're starting to see with systems like the digestive system, of course, have a close association with our disconnection to nature, from the realm of food to our environment, and everything in between. So we're going to do our best in about 50 minutes time to cover all of that from all the perspectives, and also talk about a few natural and holistic things that you can do to assist your digestive system in either getting healthy or remaining healthy. And so when we enter the realm of digestion, we're really, in a nutshell, talking about understanding, taking in, discerning. If discerning is a hard word for anyone, it just means to understand and evaluate in a very precise and clear way, integrating whatever information it is that we're taking in, and then also letting go. So the fulfillment of this entire process in a lot of different ways. For those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Molly. I'm really happy to have you here and hugging you into the Inspiration Heals community. I am an acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist. I worked for an amazing integrative medical program when I lived in Chicago. And since I've lived overseas for the last decade, I've been running yoga and wellness retreats all over the world. I'm also a yoga instructor, foundationally, I guess, foundational in the ability to run yoga retreats, and an all around learner. I love the constant challenge and excitement of learning, which is, I think, why life guided me into wellness and the exploration of holistic systems. But the overriding Did you see the power just went out? The overriding, I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep a signal together. We're just about to have a huge storm on the farm that I'm living on. So fingers crossed that we stay connected for the next 50 minutes and I get through all of the information. But anyway, not so important. But overriding for me is really a life of service, so to speak. I feel that I've been really gifted to enter into so many different arenas, from dance to genetic research to medicine to yoga. And all of them have provided me with such insight into life that the only thing that seems reasonable for me to do is pass the wisdom that my teachers have given to me on in my life experiences. And so that's why I'm out here doing what I do. So, digestion. This can be kind of a triggering photo for people. But the point here is that digestion, although we think about it as something inside of us, it actually starts with your eyes. And certainly in this modern world, we've also entered into interesting arenas. I don't know if there will be any foodies listening to the recording or if there are any foodies on the call. Those of you who love to go to the restaurants where everything is so pristine and there's sort of an artistry to presentation. There is a reason behind that, but definitely the eyes are the first part of our digestive process, and what the eyes perceive have a lot to do with then how well our system manages what we actually decide to intake. And of course, fast food has become popular in the last few decades in our modern fast paced life. But our bodies are really meant to eat colorful, close to the, I mean, not even close to the earth. We say close to the earth to make it easy for our conditioned mentality right now, but we're really meant to eat from the earth, directly from the earth. And there's always a bit of discussion about plant-based, omnivore, and that might be even a topic for another time. But I'll just say this, that there is scientific evidence actually evolutionarily both for eating meat and for not. And of course, when we look at things like that through anthropological eyes or even biological eyes, because life in human form has evolved on so many different continents and in so many different situations, the best I can say from my medical perspective is that food really is our life medicine. And when I say medicine now, what I mean is that food is what sustains us. And one of the things we often say in yoga is that, like, the human body is just food repurposed. And most of us in our cultures also have that cliche of you are what you eat. And many of the traditions that err away from eating animals are really based on a philosophy that animals are emotional creatures, and in addition to that, we know that our modern life has trended, unfortunately, into a production of animal meat that is no longer pure or natural. And so it can be in and of itself a big argument. So I'm just going to leave it right now for today, because we do have a lot to cover, is just this idea that we are nature, and the way that we can fuel ourself and our well-being is with nature. And so you can see these children in the picture right there, and they are definitely not eating things that any longer resemble nature. And you can begin to see the results of that on one's well-being and one's health in physical form. So again, just a bird's eye view, the digestive system. So it starts with the eyes. We see, we begin to interact, and actually what the eyes see begins to stimulate activity throughout the whole digestive system. It's easy to relate the digestive system to the stomach, to the intestines, but really it is an entire system from entry to exit. So from opening to opening, that all works together to do what that first slide was talking about, which is to take in, to discern, to assimilate, hopefully in a healthy, functioning digestive system, exactly what our bodies need, and to let go of anything that it doesn't. And so, if any of you that are listening or on the call are into yoga or any of the I guess I can call it self-help or um, yes, raise the vibration sort of entities. You know that across the board, we're talking so much about letting go and letting go, right? Letting go of stuff that doesn't serve you, letting go. Well, part of the reason that is coming up so much is that a lot of us are walking around with congested systems that no longer have the ability to discern well. And depending on our lifestyle, we might not even be feeding ourselves the things that are really necessary for the vibrance and beautiful miracle of life. And therefore the letting go process gets a little famished as well, because there's a big confusion happening between one opening and the other opening. So it's really the whole of your body and the core of your being that is the digestive system. The other thing that's nice to note, because another topic that usually comes up in digestion is sugar, and it will come up, but it's nice to also know that there are taste receptors throughout the entirety of your digestive system. We put so much emphasis on what's happening in the mouth, but there are more and more studies that are showing and backing this up, that when we in our modern lives we gulp down something that isn't necessarily great for us, our bodies are habitual creatures, and so whether we taste it or not, the rest of the digestive system is actually tasting it. And this is one of the reasons that sometimes when people do cleanses, even if they switch their diet from something not ideal to ideal, plant-based with no inflammatory influences, when the body starts to clean itself out, they will have cravings for the bad stuff. And the reason is that we have taste receptors throughout the system, and they get used to the tastes that we feed our body. And so when all of a sudden those stimulations are taken away, the natural result is sort of a temporary, like, wait, I want that back, even if it was something that was bad to you. So, kind of an interesting scientific fact. And again, we already sort of talked about this, and not necessary to go through the whole process distinctively, but what we're really talking about is taking in, processing, discerning, assimilating what is needed, eliminating what is not. This is really the core foundation of what's happening in digestion. And we want to start when we begin to look from a holistic standpoint, we always want to start looking for sort of the energetic and emotional mirror to what we see going on in the physical level. And in fact, through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine, which we're going to take a sneak peek at in just a second, but also all of the different holistic traditions. One thing that's important to note is we do think of digestion as the food that we're taking in, right? The way that we're actually literally physically nourishing the body. But healthful digestion and digestion in general is really related to everything that we are taking in. And we know in today's society we are inundated with so much information, so many things that we're interacting with, way beyond the capacity of the body, but you are energetically digesting every bit of information that you come in contact with throughout the day. And for those of you who have maybe had the blissful experience of like putting your phone on airplane mode for an entire day, you may have noticed a difference in the energetic tapestry of your body, of your mind, right? It's sort of like eating McDonald's all day long versus eating a plant-based diet all day long, if any of you have had that experience, and comparing that energetically to, like watching the news for hours on end or scrolling through Instagram for hours on end, and what that feels like in your body as your body is trying to digest all of that information, versus when we give ourselves a break and do things a little bit more moderately and modestly. So, not only the taking in of food, but actually, when we look from a holistic standpoint, digestion is really anything that we are trying to take in, discern, process, and let go of. And so, another reason that digestion is such a hot topic these days, I don't know that there are scientific studies to back this up, but the first science thousands of years ago was the science of observation. And it's really easy to observe in my medical practice. It's really easy to observe when I talk to my medical colleagues that digestive unrest and digestive problems have definitely increased as our exposure to devices and information has increased. So that is just another aspect from and through the holistic lens. And one of the metaphors, well, we'll get to this in the earth element. So, one aspect of the digestive system that we're not going to jump into too deeply today, but most of you or many of you may have heard talk about the gut microbiome. Yes, have you heard about this? Yeah. So the gut microbiome is a bunch of bacteria and fungi and things that like in on a general day-to-day basis we would say are actually bad for our health, but there's a lot that goes on a micro level inside and actually on the surface of your body that includes the symbiotic relationship between the human body and these little creatures. And in fact, your intestines are full of little microbes, little mostly bacteria that are assisting your body in all of the digestive processes. So they are creating enzymes, they're helping to break down the food, they're helping in the assimilation process, they're helping get what is actually good for the body into the bloodstream to be used as real nourishment. And they're helping also to sort of guard the walls of the intestines against bad things getting in. One of the ways I love to think of the microbiome as our Amazon forest. And here I'm going to go off the deep end a little bit, but it's a realization that I had a few months ago. I led a 30-day cleanse with a really beautiful group of people. And as I was presenting about the microbiome, and of course, if you're following any of the news in South America, we know that we are reaching a really tragic point with the deforestation in the Amazon. And me, as a holistic practitioner, I can't help but think we act based on the state of our physical body, our emotions. And I'm going to comment on this a little more specifically in a second, but we behave according to how healthy our body is. And across the board, and it's really across nations too, we are in a digestive system crisis for a lot of reasons that I will continue to present. But it's very interesting that there does seem to be a mirror of really huge deforestation on the Earth's surface. And so I love to think of the microbiome as the Amazon forest. We want it lush and plentiful. And in fact, research is starting to, not even starting, it's actually been happening for a long time, but it's really just starting to come into the mainstream that the health of this Amazon forest in your gut, the health of the balance of all of these little microbes in your system are directly linked to our mental health. They're directly linked to the state and functioning of our brain. They're directly related to our stress response. They're directly related to how our immune system is functioning. And so here we start to see the coming together of the holistic understanding of the digestive system really being the foundational system of the entirety of the body, and science beginning to show where all these pathways are, that when the digestive system is in a healthy state, we have a much better opportunity, or we have a much higher likelihood to also be in a state of good mental health, to be in a state where we're able to develop healthy stress responses, and to be in a state where the immune system can function properly, and vice versa. Um, Another part of the digestive system, and this is kind of a lot of science to chew on in an introductory course, but this is also something that you're hearing a lot these days. So, my hope in all of my educational programs, and also even my holistic health counseling, sort of one of the roles I guess I play in my community, is just to help put the pieces together. It's really easy to hear about a lot of these things in isolation, but nice to start to be able to see how they all affect one another. So the vagus nerve is one of the biggest nerves in the body. It is a cranial nerve, which means that it's exiting kind of close to the base of the spine, but it is exiting from within the cranium. And the cranial nerve plays a huge role also in the functioning of most of the major systems in the body. The cranial nerve is connecting physically the brain to the entirety of the digestive system, all of the organs involved in the digestive system. But what's really interesting to note here is that we also hear a lot about the gut brain connection, right? We also hear about gut instinct. How many of you have heard of this? Like, oh, just follow your gut instinct, or oh, listen, when we feel things that are a little off, if we're really listening, we often feel them first kind of in the abdomen, right? Like that tightening, or maybe even there's a disruption in the digestive system. Well, the vagus nerve, 90% is what science is saying right now. 90% of the signaling is going from the intestines, from the microbiome to the brain instead of vice versa. And we often think of the central nervous system, right, as like the brain is sending signals to the body about what to do. But through the vagus nerve, we start to see this more intimate connection between the state of this microbiome, the state of the digestive system, and the state of our ability to think and discern and participate in life, and feel an ease in our ability to connect with and express our emotions. So depending on how healthy your Amazon forest is, it is directly affecting and signaling all of the things that are happening inside your brain. And if you start to put that together, and I definitely don't like to sound like a doomsdayer, but our modern life is just putting a lot of pressure on our systems that we have not evolved to manage, that we aren't really meant to manage. So imagine if you do have unrest or an imbalance in your microbiome, and all of those messages are going to the brain, and then you're also spending your day, moving really fast, eating on the go, scrolling through Instagram, looking at Facebook, watching the news. Then you're getting it from both sides, right? I guess it's another metaphor for burning the candle at both ends. You're like inundating the brain from one end, you're inundating the brain from the gut end by maybe not eating a healthy diet, or not having noticed what you have done in the past to disrupt the balance in the gut. And then we're all walking around in these states of sort of dis-ease, and we can't quite put a finger on it. And a lot of it really comes back to the health of the digestive system and our activities throughout the day. So, just a quick look into the window through traditional Chinese medicine, because I feel like this is a storytelling voice, the paradigm of traditional Chinese medicine that kind of puts all of those ideas into a beautiful little package. So it makes a lot of sense. Also, I didn't really plan it that way to come out that way, but it makes sense that the digestive functioning and the digestive organs through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine would fall under the earth element. And again, we know it. The earth provides us with what we need to stay alive. There's no way to escape that truth. And in traditional Chinese medicine, we often think of the earth element as this like rich, fertile soil from which everything else in our lives grows. And in fact, under this umbrella of the earth element, we find the spleen and stomach. In traditional Chinese medicine, organs always partner up, one yin organ, one yang organ. Again, a little bit beyond the topic for today, but just sort of starting also maybe to whet your appetite in an arena that you may not have explored quite yet. And when we talk about organs in traditional Chinese medicine, it's really nice to note that we translate them to sort of hold names that we can identify as organs that we know through the lens of modern medicine. But in traditional Chinese medicine, it's not just the organ itself in a physical location with a physiological function, it's an entire network that connects all different parts of your body to the organ. And then there's a connection between the paired organ, and they are, of course, in a network in a very specific and beautiful and balanced way, connected to all of the other organs in the body. And this is where we start getting into why systems like this are called holistic, because you really can't talk about, you can't isolate one part of the body and say this is the spleen, this is what it does, and if there's a problem there, that's where we fix it. We always have to look at the bird's eye view too, to see where the disharmony is, because nothing can exist in isolation. Nothing in life exists in isolation, including us as human beings, right? We're meant to be in community, we're meant to be in family, we're meant to be connected. The earth element relates also to late summer. So one of the energetic ideas here is in late summer, it's when everything that was growing during the summer is coming into its maturity, right? Fruits that have been growing throughout the summer, the wheat, the corn, everything is coming into its fullest, most nourishing point in its life cycle, which is one of the reasons that we relate this very, very relatable when we start talking about actual nourishment and what that means, and fulfilling it to the best of our ability. And the earth element also really loves order. And I didn't speak about it, but if you are one that loves to read the slides even while the presenter is talking, you may have noticed that I had noted earlier about this idea of digestion, that the digestive system is sort of like an administrative assistant, if you will, in the realm of discerning and kind of deciding. And in fact, the earth element in traditional Chinese medicine, this really rich, beautiful, fertile soil from which everything else can grow. And in fact, the spleen and the stomach are producing the what we call qi, the vital energy, and also the blood. So again, kind of relating back to you are what you eat, really what the elements we put into our body are what are being used to make cells. Like really, we are food repurposed in that sense. But the whole functioning of the system from opening to opening is a little bit like an administrative assistant, right? Should, like, you have your desk, work comes in, you decide what to prioritize, you decide what you can fulfill, you decide maybe what you're going to delegate out. I'm saying you, I don't know if anyone has been an administrative assistant, but I definitely have worked in offices, so I know that we can get the picture in our head. But then also imagine the like busy office where there's too much work, and the desk starts getting messy, and things fall into the trash that shouldn't go into the trash, things get let go of that shouldn't be there, other jobs get done that shouldn't get done, and there's just mass confusion about what is happening at the core of that functioning. And that's what really starts to happen to the digestive system when we have disharmony, or when it's overwhelmed, or when it's weak. And one of the ways through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine that we can begin to help our digestive system. And some people are really surprised at this, but like decluttering your space, making where you live tidy. Because remember, digestion starts with the eyes. And so, if when we look around, we feel a sense of tranquility and we feel a sense of order, it actually has a direct effect on the nervous system and on the vagus nerve. And then it sends a signal to the body that it can be relaxed enough to receive information. Does that make sense? And so through just this like in, visualization of the earth and what falls under it, we begin to in a more full way kind of tell the story of digestion. So of course, when the earth element is healthy, we have the ability to break down, assimilate, discern what work needs to be done, what can be let go of really healthfully. And again, the blood and the chi, all of these vital energies of the body are nourished with the right elements to be able to go out and do all of the other jobs that the body needs to do. In the earth element, we also have the health of muscle tone, and we know it when our bodies are well nourished, when we are taking in the things that are actually providing the right nourishment for the body to function well. We feel the muscles in a healthy state. And in our modern lives, we have to consider again the bird's eye view that we need movement because we've become very sedentary. That also is a little side conversation, but again, just in a nutshell, nice to begin to consider some of these things. And when our digestive system is taxed through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine, we start getting like low grade accumulations of what we call dampness. So it's almost like your earth got too much rain and it starts getting muddy. And how this can show up in our real-time experiences, we feel a little puffy, like the skin feels a little puffy, or we might experience bloating after we eat, or our bowel movements might start being a little bit more irregular, or you feel, right, a little of that like puffiness kind of accumulating on the face. And you, for all intents and purposes, you feel like you're fine, there's not an issue, but these could all be signs that the digestive system is congested or encumbered or weak or out of harmony. Oh, I almost had the arrows. So, on the subtle level, again, sort of circling back to that idea that everything we look at on a physical level, we also want to understand on an energetic level. Some of the sensations that come with having a healthy digestive system are feeling grounded, are feeling centered, are feeling comfortable in your own skin. I don't know if any of you listening or on the call are barefoot kind of people, but there is this, I mean, it's not a new practice, they've just given it a new name, this earthing, right? They're saying like go out and get your bare feet on the earth. And it's really true. When you go and you put your bare feet on the earth, there is an exchange of ions. And just through this exchange of our physical body in connection with the sort of natural wisdom and chemical wisdom of the earth, all systems of the body are affected in a healthy way. And I always think for myself, I'm definitely a farm girl, nature girl. So I would do anything at any time to be barefoot on the earth. And I still feel that magic. When I'm in nature, when I put my bare feet on the earth, and I hope that you can relate to this on some small, maybe it's a river for you, maybe just think of some natural environment that you really love. When you're in that environment and connected, skin to skin with nature, we tend to feel all of the blocks that we put up to navigate life kind of melt away. And we tend to feel in those moments really comfortable as who we are, as we are. Does that make sense a little bit? Have you ever had that experience, right? So again, it's just sort of remembering these natural states. And I know this is maybe a little esoteric, but these are really important parts of the topic that modern science doesn't talk a lot about. And one of the reasons that I think it's important to talk about is again, without necessarily knowing exactly what's happening internally, it is quite easy for someone to say, I just have a hard time feeling grounded, or I don't feel comfortable in my skin. I don't feel comfortable in my body. I'm having a difficult time. I tend to feel anxious a lot and I can't quite get centered. And a lot of times, when we're doing diagnoses from the holistic standpoint, this points directly to some sort of deficiency or inefficiency in the digestive system that can be treated through the digestive system. Um, so another sort of fun entry, different windows into the same story. Of course, when our earth element is healthy, we're able to discern easily. We're able to know this is good for me, this isn't good for me, and I'm okay to set a healthy boundary because I know that it's not good for me and I don't want to be near it. This could come in the form of relationships, this could come in the form of choosing what work we're doing, this could come in the form of just saying no sometimes instead of doing our best to try to ingest and please. So a lot of very intricate and intimate experiences of the human experience come in the realm realm of healthy digestion as well. And on the emotional level, what we are tapping into in a healthy earth element with a healthy digestive system are things like trust and self worth and compassion. And I think that probably with everything that I've said, and sometimes these things we just have to hear them a couple of times, but maybe little circuitry in your brain or in your gut are starting to make that connection, right? If I feel comfortable in my own skin, it's easier for me to understand trust. It's easier for me because I can discern, like, this is not a good situation, and I have the ability to say no because I feel a sense of self-worth. Then I just choose not to interact with something that I don't need to be digesting in the first place. And so in this way, it all starts to look very integrated and beautiful. And just to circle us back around, this all has to do with the state of our microbiome and the state of our stomach. And again, what we're choosing to put in, how our body is able to integrate that, and then how healthfully we are able to let go of that stuff. So, of course, all of this exists in the realm of what we are taking in. And we sort of identify three major ways that we take things in: what we ingest, digestive system; what we put on the surface of our skin, what we are actually interacting with physically; and what we breathe. And so, on the topic of digestion, and that took me way longer to do, but it's, again, my passion is really foundational education. So I'm not even sure that we're going to get through this whole presentation, but we'll see how patient you are, and we'll see how fast I can talk at this point. But interesting to begin to also take note of the things that are affecting our digestive system. One of the things across the board for everyone living in the modern world is toxic influences. And toxicity, toxic just means things that usually in the realm of like chemicals that are not natural chemicals, so man-made chemicals, but natural things can be toxic too. A little bit off topic, but we have so many things in our environment that our body inevitably has to process, because again, remember, it's not only the stuff we eat, but it's what we're breathing. It's, how, like what our houses were built out of. When we go into the store and there are synthetic perfumes, we're breathing that in. And so most of us participating in the modern world are inundated with way more toxic influences than our body can naturally detoxify. And what this does is it begins a deforestation process in our gut microbiome. Uh, just another look at how many chemicals, what the Environmental Working Group has found, more than 80,000 chemicals are used in everyday things, and not very many are studied for safety. But those that are studied for safety are shown to be neurotoxins, endocrine system disruptors, immune system disruptors, cancer causing. They affect the liver and the kidneys negatively, which is sadly ironic because the liver and the kidneys are our major detoxification systems. And so a little bit of a double whammy here. And again, not to be in a doomsday state of mind, but it's really just raising the awareness so that maybe collectively we can start making better choices about what we buy, about what we fill our homes with, about what we are ingesting. But this is a really important piece. And mostly, again, because most of these substances that are not nature disrupt the microbiome. And because they're disrupting the microbiome, we don't have an opportunity to even assimilate and really truly digest the nutrients that we may or may not be taking in, even if we're living a healthy lifestyle. And this is why a lot of people, at least a lot of people that I come in contact with, and they're like, but I live so healthfully, I eat so healthfully. And we're not really always considering the big picture that unfortunately a lot of us just unknowingly are walking around with deficits simply by participating in modern life. The nice thing is there are some things that we can do to help that. But it's also really nice to be more and more aware and conscientious about also what we are buying and consuming. The other things, and this is a big scary list, the other things that affect directly the balance of the gut microbiome, and by effect I mean disrupt and actually cause a lot of damage in your Amazon forest are NSAIDs, so ibuprofen. I don't know about you, but I know in my family, like in my sister's family, I took my niece to Nepal last year and she was taking ibuprofen almost every day. But 250 milligrams per week is about all our body is capable to detoxify. 250 milligrams per week. And that's if your system is relatively healthy. And so, of course, we know in our go getter attitude and like, don't stop and just mask the symptoms, we're doing a lot of things to keep up with our modern lives that are really disrupting on a foundational level the digestive system and thereby all of the systems, nutrition deficiencies. This again, unfortunately, it's just something we're dealing with in the human experience right now, that food isn't as nutritious as it used to be, even if you're eating healthfully. And when you add that on top of a system that might be weak, that can begin to cause some problems. Well, I can let your eyes, and I can send this PDF too. We don't need to go through all of these, but a lot of things that we're just sort of conditioned to think are part, like a normal part of modern life, are having a big, deep impact on the digestive system. And so that together with a lot of the toxic influences is why we are ending up in this situation where so many people have digestive unrest. And the other thing that I just want to say here, while maybe you just let your eyes kind of take in this information to the best of your ability, no need to study or memorize. It will circle around, I'm sure, if you're interested in the topic or interested in learning more. But I think it's nice to note that digestive imbalance or digestive system problem doesn't always show up as a digestive system problem. And for this, I just circle us one last time back to that idea of the gut brain axis, and also like the health of the gut as it's related to the immune system. So sometimes gut disruption comes in the form of eczema, or in the form of chronic allergies, or in the form of depression, or in the form of, just feeling like you can't get a hold of your emotions. It might not actually show up for you physically as like, oh, there's a problem with my digestive system, I have stomach pain, my bowel movements are not regular. It might not show up that way because the system works together. And so where we naturally constitutionally have the weaknesses, and all of us have weaknesses in the system, is where things tend to show up first. And so I always just like to um, take note of that. I work with a lot of kids. It wasn't my intention, but I just happened to be working with a lot of families with kids with eczema and also ADHD diagnoses right now. And when you get to the nitty gritty of it, it all starts with the digestive system. And it's so fascinating, but it's also so beautiful because there's so much that we can do to help and assist with the digestive system. And along that line, a couple of things that we can do just in our lifestyle before we even get into the realm of like natural input or supplements or even essential oils that could assist us with digestive health. There are a lot of things that we can do if we choose and we have the wherewithal to do in just our daily lives that can assist the digestive system in coming back into better balance or into a better state of health. And I'll just remind you that that could begin, if you're going philosophically through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine, that could, and it's not exactly spring anymore, is it? But we do the cleanse in the spring because it energetically, it makes so much sense. Do the spring cleaning, tidy up your space, call the feng shui expert, whatever you need to do. But because digestion starts with the eyes, one simple thing you can do is take a look around your environment and just start to feel like what feels good about what is happening here, what is, making my brain work harder, making me feel uncomfortable in my skin, making my shoulders kind of rise to my ears. And it's incredible. All you have to do is tidy up your space and you've already done something great for your digestive system. On a more foundational level, one of the ways that we approach healing the digestive system is to reduce the amount of inflammatory influences. So, eating again as close to the earth as possible. So, sugar, dairy, wheat, processed foods, alcohol, caffeine, supplements that are not natural, which, like 85% of the supplements on the major markets, are synthetic. And so, I mean, one, you're just peeing it out. It doesn't actually provide any value, but also it is in an unrecognizable form for your body. So it has to work hard also to detox those synthetic substances and fillers that are in a lot of supplements. But just like tidying up your home, we just start to tidy up what we are introducing to the body. And one of the things I like to comment on here, when I'm working with people like chronic pain, chronic inflammation, we of course we strategize in this way. I am not an advocate for polarization of anything. I'm not an advocate for the always and never of anything. When it's your birthday, you should have your favorite cake and you should enjoy the heck out of it. But when we're talking about healing a system, or when we're talking about foundational health, depending on the state that you are in when you're having this conversation, it might be necessary to eliminate things in a strict manner to give your body the best chance to finding a state of balance. And when you're in a state of balance, everything can be done in moderation. You can drink a little bit of coffee. You can have a glass of wine every once in a while if you want to. Have your favorite cake on your birthday. Like, these are things that should be enjoyed and that the body should be capable of navigating in a healthy state. So when we talk about elimination stuff, it's not in the state of depriving us from the joy of some of these human experiences. It's really in the mindset of allowing a healing process to complete itself so that we are in the natural state of being able to enjoy the things in life. Some of the ways that I love to approach sort of coaching people about choosing eating: if it comes wrapped in plastic, don't eat it. If you can't pronounce the ingredients, don't eat it. Most people are really surprised when they start turning things around. They're like, whoa, yeah, that does not come out of my mouth naturally. Don't eat it. Don't buy it. That is not a natural thing. If it's not a natural color, blue Gatorade, I can't imagine anything found in nature that carries the color of blue Gatorade. So don't drink it. Anything that doesn't resemble something in nature, just don't interact with it. It's a really easy way to start changing habits if that's an area where you think that you can use some input. And then, of course, detoxifying your living and workspaces. And in this realm, we start to get into, and I do webinars every so often about non-toxic living. So if that's an interest of yours, but there are a lot of chemicals that are dangerous to our digestive system in everyday things like shampoo and detergent and soaps. And so you can begin to ditch and switch these things in your environment in your effort to also kind of tidy up your life so that the things that you're interacting with, the things that you're putting on your clothes, the creams that you're putting on your body are not affecting in a detrimental way your digestive system. My favorite: device holidays. Airplane mode every so often. It really does wonders for our mental health. All right. So now we're going to take, in the last few minutes, just a quick scan of some possible ways you can begin to interact with uh, products that can be helpful. So twice a year, I actually lead this cleanse and restore program. So I partner with a company called doTERRA. It's not the only company that I partner with, but it is a magnificent one. And they are doing a phenomenal job in creating not only 100% pure essential oils, but also a lot of lifestyle and supplement products that are also 100% natural, that are really easy to incorporate into our daily routine and also really easy to put together in programs. So the Cleanse and Restore is a 30-day program and a really supportive cleanse program where foundationally what we're doing is giving the body nutrients, minerals, natural Not essential oils. I'm looking at the EO and I always think essential oils, but omega oils, there it is. And incorporating some of these supplements for a 30-day period of time to, one, open up and strengthen the natural detoxification systems of the body. Two, foundationally give the body the nutritional energy that it needs to do the work we're asking it to do. Three, in the second phase, we incorporate a supplement that is going in and clearing out all of the microbes that should not exist in our digestive system. And then in the third phase, we go in and we plant seeds in our Amazon forest. We replenish with pre and probiotics. This is something that I lead twice a year as like a live sort of retreat like experience. I just finished with a group, and every group I lead, I have to say it's really remarkable. I just got a voice message from a friend of mine in London who went through breast cancer, and also the treatments for breast cancer put her into early menopause, and she just left me the most beautiful message. She said, I came into the cleanse just because I wanted a reset, but I had no idea that it would balance my hormones. I had no idea that foundationally, what I have been experiencing post cancer treatments and everything else I went through, that if I healed my digestive system, it would have a positive effect on all of these things, and it has, and it's amazing. So again, thinking about the digestive system as the foundation, as our Amazon forest that provides all of the things necessary for all of the other systems in the body to be healthy, and taking into consideration that most of us don't live in an isolated natural realm where we aren't interacting with things. If you've ever taken antibiotics in your life, if you from time to time take a painkiller, if you have, for whatever reason and just unknowingly through conditioning taken over the counter drugs, then probably you are walking around in a state of deficit in the digestive system. So I love to recommend the cleanse. Like if you're in a relatively healthy state, I think this is an amazing thing to do once a year, just as a way to bolster and kind of reboot the system and make sure that you're really toggling on a level of homeostasis that is optimal for you and your body. Again, I lead this live twice a year, but it can also be something that you do self-guided with pre-recorded videos. But this is one approach. If you're in that realm where you're like, I know that probably I have some digestive issues, but I'm not even sure where to start, this is a great place to start, because it's also an opportunity for 30 days time to take a deep look at your environment, at your eating. There's a beautiful, there's beautiful guidance about what we're eating, how to detoxify the home, the whole shebang in one 30-day program that can really help to bring home a lot of the things that we've just talked about very fast in 45 minutes. So this is one approach. Another approach is doing some simple supplementation. So, digestive enzymes, another hot topic these days, and again, for good reason. Digestive enzymes are things that your body should be producing on its own, but a lot of them are produced by the bacteria in your gut. And so, if the microbiome is compromised, which for most of us in any given moment in our modern life, it can be, then we are not getting the enzymes necessary to physically help our bodies break down food stuff into the elements that are usable by the body, and thereby we are not actually getting the full component of nutrients from the food that we're eating. I'm gonna pause here and just say, because I know that some of you are new to me, and if you're watching the recording and you're new to me, I when I first started practicing in the realm of holistic medicine, like I didn't even want to prescribe. I mean, herbal medicine, yes, sometimes, but I was always a little like I was always a little shy about supplements, because I really think that supplements are to be used when there's a necessity. So keep in mind that I'm definitely not suggesting that everyone should go out and buy all these supplements and take them infinitely. There should always be, in a real good holistic healing approach, there should be a beginning, there should be a middle, and there should be an end. There should be an end goal, and there should be also check-in points, right? To make sure that what's happening in that intervention or in the addition of supplements is actually happening. Nothing should be taken forever. No medicine should be taken forever if it's really part of a recuperation or healing process. That said, because also a lot of the foods that bring to us natural enzymes are being irradiated before they get on the truck and being processed instead of given to us in the natural form, we are really struggling in general with digestive enzymes. And so if you suspect that that's an area where you could use a little help, what I love to do is do like 1 or 2 months of supplementing with digestive enzymes and then 1 or 2 months off, and then 1 or 2 months on, or quarterly, or there can be all sorts of strategies. And that's why we are out here also as educators. If you're interested in any of this, you can set up a 20-minute free consultation with me and I can give you specific guidance for where you are on the journey and to help you know what might be best for you in this moment. Probiotics, another thing that we hear a lot about, pre and probiotics. And probiotics, of course, are intended to be, and I love that. I love that doTERRA somehow made their probiotics fluorescent green, because these are, if you can imagine that Amazon forest in your gut, these are the seedlings that are going to replant that lush forest, and they need to make it through the acidity of the stomach, so they need to be formulated well. But the probiotics are really oriented around replenishing the gut microbiome, which again could be compromised from all of the things on that crazy long list that we saw earlier. And just really quick to finish, also, if you are working in the realm of wanting to work on your digestion, or you're wanting to, maybe you're not yet, thinking like, oh, I need to heal, or I need to do something on a daily basis, or I need to really, do something on a deeper level, incorporating something like pure lemon essential oil into your day. It's in a lot of traditions, but the lemon essential oil in its 100% pure form comes from the peel of the lemon. And so the advantage of using the oil instead of the fruit is that you skip over the acid that tends to damage both the stomach lining eventually if you're drinking lemon and water too much, and as well as the teeth. So when we talk about pure essential oils, I'll just say that an essential oil is a condensed form of the unique chemical fingerprint of any given item that we're making an essential oil from. Here, in the case of the lemon peel, any essential oil is about 50 to 70% stronger than its plant part. So we're really talking in the healing realm, in the medicinal realm. But what's super cool about lemon is that it stimulates healthy digestion. It's actually shown now through scientific research to stimulate glutathione in the liver, which is what is helping us to detoxify and also deal with free radicals in the body. We've known this from a holistic standpoint, but now science again is kind of backing up the philosophical knowing of this. And also lemon is amazing for helping to scour like mucus and, well, we already mentioned toxicity, but humidity out of the body. So if you're like, I'd love to do something, but I'm not sure I'm ready to commit to, or I don't even know where to start, just starting with adding 1 or 2 drops of lemon essential oil to water every single morning is already doing something amazing and positive for the body. And then there's the full spectrum, and we won't go through that because I know I'm just about at time, and I want to see if there are any questions, and I also want to be conscientious that an hour of full-on information is a lot of information. Things like Digestion that doTERRA also makes, it's a blend. And if you've ever eaten at an Indian restaurant, and not only Indian, but there are many other Asian traditions, and you're walking out, you're checking out at the counter, and there's a bowl of seeds, right? Anise, fennel, caraway. This is Digestion in a bottle in a really beautiful, usable form. So a lot of people incorporate Digestion into their restructured 100% pure, natural, holistic home medicine cabinet. And this isn't necessarily a daily intervention, but the Digestion can be really helpful for occasional bloating. When you eat too fast and you get a little pain or congestion, I actually use it when my kids get the stomach flu, and it helps with their nausea and vomiting. So, all of these beautiful herbs that assist a healthy digestive system are in this bottle. And so, it's a beautiful thing to have around just as part of the medicine cabinet to support some of the natural functionings, and especially when that natural functioning seems to be getting off kilter a little bit. And then this last slide, and I'll just stop here. I will wrap it up. In case you haven't noticed, I could go on for hours. I love talking about this stuff, but a couple of other oils that can be incorporated again just into the home medical kit, into everyday life. There is the Zendocrine blend. This is oriented around assisting the liver and the kidneys in their natural detoxification process. So the Zendocrine is actually something that we use in the 30-day cleanse, but you can use it as an essential oil, taking a drop in water every morning, and it is providing your body with natural support for what the body is supposed to be doing well all on its own. But of course, if we're overstimulated with toxic influences, the body is working double time. So by using something like Zendocrine, you're giving it support. You're kind of bolstering up, right? Sandbagging the shores a little bit and helping the body to do what it's already really working hard to do. Ginger essential oil, ginger, something we use in traditional Chinese medicine for everything digestion, warming, it's antimicrobial, it assists with the digestive process, and it's actually really fun to cook with as well. Fennel, as you can imagine, another one in there. So a lot of ways that you can bring nature into your home medicine cabinet in a way that's really supportive of the digestive process. All right, let me stop the share. So I did have a couple more slides, but again, I like to try. I live in Italy, and the Italians are not great at time, but I try to keep more of like a Swiss watch to be to navigate other people's time. So if this piqued interest in you in any way, shape, or form, again, one of the ways that we work, and especially if you're interested in either learning more about essential oils or learning more about the supplements, I always highly recommend that you just reach out and make a 20-minute quick phone call, or maybe not quick. Sometimes the 20 minutes ends up being a lot longer depending on the person and their needs, but really nice to enter into the realm of holistic interventions with a clear idea of what you really need. Definitely in the spirit of digestion. You go on Instagram, you go anywhere, and everyone's telling you what you need and what you should be doing and what you should be taking. And I could do the same. I could tell you you should just do all of the stuff that I just said, but I would be wrong, because that isn't right for everyone. And so I really love bringing people into the arena of holistic interventions by beginning to identify where would be the best way to step in. And one of the reasons that I think that this is so important is that consistency and follow through are important. And so if you enter into the conversation with something that is important to you, the follow through is bound to be a lot better than just buying something because someone told you it was good and then not knowing what to do with it. One of the reasons that I also love to work with doTERRA, that I love working with this company, is that foundationally we work from education up. And so if there were to be a time in the future where you wanted to invest in some of these things to incorporate them into your daily routine, you always have me as your mentor and your guide to help you really know how to use them and how to incorporate them. And that could be anywhere, again, from doing the cleanse to detoxifying your home, and anywhere within that spectrum. I will just say lastly, and then I'll see if there are any questions. This month, June, I'm participating in a leadership program with doTERRA. And so for all new customers that have an order of about $100, are going to get a free Citrus Bliss oil and also free shipping. And this is available in the US and Canada only for right now. And then there are a couple of other really neat things. But it's a fun thing that they're allowing us to do in support of us sharing natural solutions. And so, just a little added bonus: citrus oils are nature's natural antidepressants. They're like the happy oils, and they also happen to be very, very powerful for healthy digestive systems. So, healthy digestion. Wow. I'm going to wrap it up there. So I hope that this was informative, at least sort of tapping into the tip of the iceberg of understanding digestion better, of understanding what is affecting our digestion and how that looks in real time, how that can look in real time in our lives, and also knowing that there are a lot of different ways that we can support and integrate and reboot and just take a little bit better care of the health of our digestive system while we are still navigating a world that presents a lot of challenges to the healthy functioning of our digestion.